Hi, I'm Sam.
And I'm Erica, and welcome to another episode of our podcast.
This podcast is designed for English learners who want to practice their English listening skills.
So let's get into it.
So, Erica, your mom and sister-in-law are coming to visit soon.
That's right. They are arriving in a few days, and I think it'll be a really fun trip for them. My mom has been to Spain 3 times. My sister-in-law, it will be her first time. And I am just hoping that everything goes smoothly for them getting here, because I had a friend visit me a month ago and everything went wrong. Her plane coming here from Colorado was canceled. They claimed they couldn't put her on another flight. She had to spend 12 hours in the airport.
Oh my gosh.
Awful. And then on the way back, same problem. Flight canceled to get her connection in England, and
No
I don't know. She
way.
has the worst luck traveling, I swear.
That does happen to some people.
Yes.
Just everything goes wrong. So Spain is obviously a huge tourist destination, but I read something recently about tourism being limited in Europe coming up.
Yeah, I've read some of those articles too. So some cities, especially in Europe, have been so popular with mass tourism. So that just means lots and lots of tourists going to one place, and it really damages the lives of the local people there. So that's the reason for either limiting how many people can travel to a place or charging for certain areas of a city, for example.
Wow. Yeah. I know in Barcelona, especially, the local population is pretty against tourism, which is fascinating because tourism is sort of a double-edged sword. It brings really great things. It has really made Barcelona a huge industry. It has brought a lot of money into Barcelona, but it's a double-edged sword. So there's the good side and there's the bad side. And the bad side is if you are leaving your apartment and you want to go buy some bread in your neighborhood bakery, well, that bakery might be filled with tourists who are trying to get their fancy breakfast. The bakery might feel like they can charge a lot more than usual because tourists are inclined to pay more money when they're on vacation. So it has this benefit, which is bringing in money, but this very obvious disadvantage as well.
Absolutely. And yeah, bread is a quaint example, but I think housing is a huge problem in lots of places, and Airbnb is a double-edged sword where people who own the properties, of course, they're going to make money from these tourists, but then that raises the housing prices for everyone else living there full time,
and the housing availability
and the availability of housing.
That will be interesting if there are restrictions placed on tourism, and hopefully they'll limit, most likely during the peak times, during high travel season. I could see that happening. Everyone wants to go to Venice, and there are times in the year where you can't even walk through the streets, which are these very narrow streets, and there's so many people that you can't do anything. And it's frustrating not only as a resident but as a tourist.
Right. Yeah, and I read that in Venice they've started charging people to enter the center area, and maybe they've banned cruise ships, like some of the big cruise ships.
Yeah.
Those are a big problem. So
good call. So if you're enjoying this episode, make sure to check out our Patreon, where we will share 2 little extra stories about travel mishaps, why Erica and I have had to take trips alone, which we did not intend on taking alone.
All right, so find the link in the description and enjoy those stories.
So we're painting traveling in a very negative light, I feel like. And that's just the opposite. We love traveling, both of us. And I think everyone from time to time just needs to get away from it all.
Absolutely. So get away from it all It all means your regular life, your routine, maybe your job, responsibilities. So you're getting away from it all, putting yourself in a different situation where you can disconnect.
Yeah. And you don't need to go that far, honestly, to get away from it all. Really just a change of scenery, even going to a neighboring town or going to a less populated area, doing a camping trip. It can be very simple to get away from it all. But there's lots of different ways to travel and different focuses. Foci?
Yes. Yeah, a variety of focuses.
So each traveler probably has a different goal in mind. When I travel, I usually go to a city. So my destinations are big cities, especially now that I'm in Europe. As an American, the cities of Europe are fantastic to me. I think they are so beautiful. So going to Vienna or Berlin or London is just the most exciting thing in the world.
I agree. Yeah, like so much history, a way better architecture than we have in the States. And yeah, I love city tourism too. I usually stay in a hostel. I love doing the walking tours, learning about the city and the history and the people, the culture.
Checking out museums.
Another kind of traveling I enjoy is nature. So camping, hiking, being, lake cabin. Since I'm from Minnesota, we do that. So, and it really feels like getting away from it all because you're kind of secluded, away from all the busyness. And for me, it's really fills up my energy.
One of the best things about living in LA is it's a huge city, but it's surrounded by nature. And in about 2 hours, you can get out of the city. And we would always go to this park called Joshua Tree. And it's a desert with these huge boulder outcroppings, so like really big rocks that you can climb up. And it has these very particular trees, the Joshua tree, which sort of look like something from a Dr. Seuss book. They're very odd, sort of kinky, gnarled trees. So it's a totally different landscape than the city, and you can go out there for a weekend and completely disconnect.
Some very rich vocabulary you have there. And another kind of tourism is voluntourism. So this is combining the word volunteer with tourism. And I have done this one time in Spain. So I did a workaway in northern Spain, and I lived with a woman who lived in the mountains. I volunteered for her like 4 hours a day. She fed and housed me, and I got to visit a new place. And people like this, either they want to help out in some way, or they're looking for a really cheap way to travel because you're kind of offering, you're working for someone in return for staying, usually for free. So I think this is a great option for a lot of people.
Definitely. I think that's a way to describe my trip to India. Is my primary goal was volunteering for a nonprofit, but obviously it was a very exciting trip for me, being in India, being in a new place, seeing a lot of things for the first time. So it was a good combination.
And you probably feel like you got a really good understanding of Indian culture, probably more than if you were just a regular tourist,
right?
Seeing the sights.
Exactly. Volunteering, I think, gives you another way to understand and see the culture that you're in. Definitely. And on the other side of the spectrum is luxury tourism, which I know nothing about because I've never done
it. Exactly. I have not either. My parents love taking cruises. They take European river cruises, which in my view is luxury tourism.
I think so too. I think a cruise is pretty luxurious.
Yeah, and I get it for like people who are retired, they have plenty of money. They don't want to think about the logistics of planning all the stops. They don't want to move their luggage. Fine, everything's there. You have your room. You have all your meals set. So I think it can be a good option for people.
And not even if you're retired, if you're someone who works a lot and you don't want to invest a bunch of time planning your vacation as well, there are lots of places in the world, resorts, where you just sort of tick a couple boxes. What are you interested in? And they prepare everything for you. They prepare trips and dinners and experiences. So maybe if I have money someday, I'll try it.
Must be nice.
It must be nice.
So if you want to support our dream of luxury travel, go to our Patreon and support us.
Yes.
Just kidding. We're not going to use
€3 will help us take a luxury vacation finally.
That's a joke. We won't use your money on that. We will use your money on nice equipment,
yes,
cameras to make these videos,
food,
podcasts even
snacks.
better.
Yes,
Sam
the
needs
necessary,
snacks.
the necessary things.
Exactly. Well, on that note, let us know in the comments what kind of tourism you've done or you're planning to do. And if you have any, maybe you have some fiasco trips, some stories to tell us. So we'd love to hear that too.
Yes, definitely. Leave us a message and we'll see you in the next podcast.